Okay, so I need to tell you about this crazy story that's been going on with my friend Nadia and her roommate Lance. So, Nadia's been living with Lance for a while now, and everything seemed normal. They'd hang out, go to parties together, the whole 9 yards. But little did anyone know, Lance had a secret life. Apparently, Lance was secretly a social media influencer. I mean, we're talking 2 million followers on Instagram alone. That's like, a small country or something. Nadia had no idea, she thought he just liked taking pictures of food for some reason. But it turns out, he was actually promoting all these brands and products to his massive following. Fletcher, another friend of ours, stumbled upon Lance's secret online. He saw one of Lance's Instagram posts, and at first, he thought it was just a weird post about how much he loved avocados or something. But then he started digging deeper, and oh man, it got crazy. Lance had been working with some major brands, luxury fashion, high-end cars, the works. Which like, what? I know, right? It's hard to even wrap your head around that Lance was living a secret life like this. And I know what you're thinking, wait, didn't Nadia suspect anything? Well, apparently not. According to Fletcher, Nadia had no idea that Lance was doing all of this behind her back. Fletcher told me that he saw Lance getting emails and messages from brands, asking him to promote their products on his social media channels. And Lance would respond with these elaborate captions and photoshops. It was like a whole different person. But here's the thing, Fletcher didn't tell Nadia about any of this right away. He kept quiet for weeks, just watching as Lance's online presence grew exponentially. I mean, we're talking thousands of new followers every day. And Lance would post these super glamorous photos, with his friends, who are also influencers, and they'd all be posing in front of these gorgeous backdrops. It was like a whole different world. And then there's the money. Oh man, the money was getting serious. Fletcher told me that Lance would get paid thousands of dollars to promote just one product on Instagram. It's crazy when you think about it, 2 million followers and he's raking it in. But at the same time, it feels kind of gross. I mean, Nadia had no idea she was living with a fake influencer or whatever. She thought Lance was just a normal guy who liked taking pictures of food for fun. It's hard to believe that this whole world existed right under her nose, but I guess you could say that Lance was leading a double life. Okay, so that's where it gets weird. Fletcher told me that he started doing some digging, trying to figure out why Lance had become an influencer in the first place. And apparently, Lance had been involved in some shady business dealings before he became popular online. Fletcher shared with us that he found a video of Lance from a few years ago, where he was seen at a luxury car dealership, rubbing shoulders with some shady characters. It looked like Lance was trying to make a name for himself as a socialite, but it wasn't long before things took a dark turn. Apparently, Lance had been involved in a Ponzi scheme that promised investors huge returns on their investments, but instead, he was using the money to fund his influencer career and lavish lifestyle. Fletcher even found out that some of the people who lost money in the scheme were now working for Lance's management company, making it impossible for them to speak out against him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could someone be so reckless with people's lives? But at the same time, I had to admit that Lance's rise to fame was still pretty impressive. And Nadia, well, she had no idea what was going on in her own home. Fletcher told us that he decided to confront Lance about his past, but Lance just brushed him off, saying that everything was fine and that he was just a successful businessman who happened to have a lot of followers online. It didn't sit well with Fletcher, but I guess Nadia had no idea what to make of it all either. As we were talking, my phone started buzzing with texts from Lance himself. He wanted us to come over to the apartment and discuss some business opportunities, whatever that meant. I was hesitant at first, but Nadia seemed curious, so we agreed to meet up with him. When we arrived at the apartment, Lance greeted us warmly, but you could tell he was nervous. He started talking about a new project he wanted to launch, something big and exciting that would make him an even bigger influencer than before. But just as things were starting to get interesting, I heard a strange noise coming from outside. It sounded like the sound of cars screeching to a halt right out front. And then, suddenly, our front door burst open and 2 men in suits stormed into the apartment, looking for Lance. "We need to talk to him," one of them growled, their eyes scanning the room until they landed on Lance. Lance's expression changed instantly, from calm and collected to panicked and frightened. He started stuttering out an excuse about being in the middle of a business meeting, but it was clear that he knew exactly what was going on. And now, I wasn't sure if we were safe here at all. The 2 men in suits approached Lance, their hands resting on their hips as they eyed him warily. One of them pulled out a badge and flashed it under the dim light of our living room lamp. "Lance Anderson, you are hereby summoned to appear before the Federal Trade Commission regarding allegations of deceptive business practices," he announced, his voice firm but controlled. I felt my eyes widen in shock as Lance's face turned a deep shade of red. He stuttered again, this time more urgently, about not knowing what was going on or having any idea who these men were. But the suits remained unyielding, their grip on him tightening as they began to read from a piece of paper. As it turned out, Lance had been using his social media influence to promote fake products and services, everything from miracle weight loss supplements to get-rich-quick schemes that promised absurd returns. His 2 million followers had been none the wiser, but the FTC wasn't about to let him get away with it. The men in suits produced a stack of documents and videos, detailing Lance's various deceptions. I watched in stunned silence as Lance's eyes darted back and forth, searching for an escape or a way out. But there was none. The jig was up, and he knew it. As the suit's reading drew to a close, one of them turned to me, Nadia, Lance's friend who had unwittingly harbored him in our apartment all these years. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to come down to the FTC headquarters with us," he said, his tone softening slightly. I nodded numbly, still trying to wrap my head around what was happening. The men led Lance away, caging him in their arms as they ushered me out of the apartment and into a waiting car. The ride back to the city was surreal, everything seemed to slow down as if time itself had caught up with us. When we arrived at the FTC headquarters, I followed the suit's instructions to the letter. Lance sat across from me in a cramped conference room, his face set in a mixture of shame and defiance. A panel of stern-looking officials interviewed him for hours, pinning him down on every detail of his deceptions. As the day wore on, Lance's facade began to crack. He confessed to using his influence to manipulate his followers, feeding them fake news and fake products that brought in a tidy profit. It was all over when I heard him whisper one final time, his voice trembling with remorse, "I'm sorry." The hearing lasted for what felt like an eternity, but finally, it drew to a close. The officials handed Lance a stern warning, 2 years of probation and hefty fines for violating the Federal Trade Commission's strict guidelines. As we left the building, I caught sight of Fletcher, my roommate who had unwittingly stumbled into this whole mess with me. He looked at Lance with a mixture of disgust and pity, as if he'd lost a piece of his own life that day. "I still can't believe this happened," I whispered to him, shaking my head. Drop your thoughts below.